On the foggy morning of July 28, 1945, a B-25 Mitchell bomber became severely disoriented in the airspace over Midtown Manhattan. Weighing 10 tons and traveling at an estimated 200 miles per hour, the military aircraft slammed directly into the 79th floor of the Empire State Building. The raw kinetic force of the impact obliterated the exterior masonry, ripping an 18 by 20-foot hole straight through the side of the tower. Inside, high-octane aviation fuel exploded. Flames poured down the elevator shafts and tore through the hallways, spreading the fire down to the 75th floor. A collision of this magnitude should have triggered a structural failure. Instead, the building barely flinched. The fires were extinguished in 40 minutes, the structural frame remained sound, and the building opened for business the following Monday morning. This presents a strange physical paradox. How did a skyscraper, constructed at a record-breaking pace during the Great Depression, possess the hidden structural capacity to effortlessly absorb a direct hit from a military bomber? Once steel hit the ground in 1930, the building's framework rose at a rate of 4.5 stories every single week. From start to finish, the entire structure was completed in just 410 days, a benchmark for logistical efficiency. Both the building's resilience and its silhouette were determined by rigorous necessity. Every step, setback, and spire on this building is the exact mathematical output of 3 distinct forces: 1930s engineering limits, municipal zoning laws, and a ruthless corporate race for vertical supremacy. To understand how it works, we have to strip away the limestone facade and conceptually deconstruct the building from the ground up. We will examine its foundational grid, its tiered setbacks, and finally, its towering spire. What remains is a machine perfectly engineered to solve the absolute constraints of its era. The demand to build higher and faster than any previous project forced the architects at Shreve, Lamb, and Harmon to adopt a specific structural floor plan. Modern skyscrapers often utilize perimeter tube frames to maximize wide-open office space. The Empire State Building, however, relies on a hyper-dense grid of closely spaced steel columns and beams. Extruded into 3 dimensions, these 210 structural columns create an incredibly tight internal skeleton. This dense column grid has a clear trade-off. It severely restricts the amount of continuous space available on any given floor. But the engineering benefit was assembly line logic. Workers connected and riveted 60,000 tons of structural steel into place in barely over a year. By prioritizing construction speed and load-bearing capacity, the engineers generated extreme structural stiffness as a byproduct. This chart shows the structural stiffness of major skyscrapers. The Empire State Building has a rating of 42 pounds per square foot, dwarfing the Willis Tower at 33 and the John Hancock Center at 26. Engineers estimated this rigidity meant the frame could withstand an impact of 50 short tons without failing. This is why the building survived 1945. The hyperdense steel grid required for rapid construction was precisely what allowed it to absorb and disperse the kinetic energy of the B-25. Moving upward from the internal skeleton, we encounter the building's distinct tiered exterior. This shape was dictated by the 1916 zoning resolution, a law enacted to prevent skyscrapers from blocking all sunlight to the streets of New York. The law forced developers to step their buildings back as they rose, establishing a mandatory invisible boundary for sunlight. The Empire State Building's facade recedes at the 5th, 21st, 25th, 30th, 72nd, 81st, and 85th stories, calculated to meet this legal boundary without crossing it. There was also an interior constraint. In the early 1930s, widespread air conditioning was not yet available. To provide natural light and ventilation, architects used the 28-foot rule. No office space could measure deeper than 28 feet from an exterior window. To maximize this perimeter space, the designers grouped 73 elevators and the building's utilities into a dense central shaft. As the building rises and elevator banks terminate, less central space is needed. The exterior setbacks correspond directly to the points where those elevator shafts end. These iconic Art Deco tiers represent the literal point where interior elevator mechanics collided with municipal sunlight laws. At the 86th floor, the usable office space ends. In the original plans, the building was intended to end here with a flat roof. This makes the sudden addition of a 200-foot spire a structural anomaly. The developers claimed the spire was engineered as a high-altitude mooring mast for transatlantic dirigibles. Under this plan, passengers would step off a zeppelin onto a gangplank at 1,200 feet, board an elevator, and be on the street in 7 minutes. Physics dismantled the idea. Attempting to tether a massive airship in the violent thermal updrafts of Midtown Manhattan was impossible. The mooring mast was a $20 million publicity stunt designed to mask a fierce capitalist rivalry. During planning, the building was redesigned 16 times to mathematically guarantee it would surpass the height of its competitor, the Chrysler Building. The spire served as an architectural weapon disguised as progress, built for the sole purpose of securing the title of the world's tallest building. Viewing the completed structure, we see it fully realized from its grid to its spire. It is a machine, built dense to rise fast, stepped back to remain legal, and pointed to win a rivalry. This over-engineered, robust framework is exactly what has allowed the building to adapt and survive for over 90 years. It evolved from a Depression-era empty state building to a modernized, energy-efficient campus. Today, it has long been surpassed in height, but it remains the primary historical benchmark for the engineering of high-rise structures. The Empire State Building endures as the definitive template of the American skyscraper, a monument where form followed the uncompromising functions of engineering, law, and human ambition.